Greetings, YouTube fans. Have I got a video for you? I came home today and what did I have in the mail but none other than Todd McFarlane's latest manga spawn. But what you say, there are at least 3 figures pictured here. Which one is the real manga spawn? And for that matter, which one is the most recently released manga spawn? So that's what we're going to talk about here today. And pardon my camera work because I'm still new to this. But we're going to talk about McFarlane toys and action figures and a little bit of history and go from there. So as you all know, if you keep up with McFarlane toys and his spawn line, you would know that, of course, that this spawn, manga spawn right here, is his most recent manga spawn. But as you know, he's been making action figures since the 90s. I want to say about 93 or 4. You could correct me, and please correct me in the comments if that is wrong. And so he has, there was a time when the spawn figures or his action figure making started to dry up a little bit, and but he seems to be back in full action figure mode right now, which I think we're all happy about. And I'm not, of course, gosh, as you can see by my camera work, I'm not endorsed by McFarlane. I don't receive any freebies, but I am an action figure fan. And it's always nice to see how a certain line of figures, or even action figures in general, evolve over the years. And so that's why I wanted to gather these 3 manga spawns and gather them together to compare them, or at least show them in a nice family photo. So looks like on this one here, we've got the old, as he's called, hamburger head spawn. And I do have the helmet, and it appears that his head pushes in, which allows the helmet here, if I can do this with one hand, without breaking it here, which I think I'll just not do that. So we'll set the helmet down here. I wanted to give you guys a look at the head without a mask, but as you can see, there are similarities across these manga spawns over the years that he has retained in his most recent figure. I wondered, as I was gathering these together, where and why manga, the name manga, was added to this figure. Well, manga, rather. Manga, of course, is the phrase for Japanese comics. And Spawn, of course, is an American comic originally written and drawn by Todd McFarlane. But it appeared at a time where anime, which is Japanese animation, and manga had been in the American market for a while. And so, as we know, Spawn had an animated, of course, the comics, Spawn comics, which were hugely successful. And in around 97, he had an HBO animated special, which was very adult oriented in both its subject matter, content, and language and violence. It was around 3 seasons, and I think it's they're really great. Basically, they're like adult versions of Batman the Animated Series episodes, is how I could classify them. But long story short, Spawn, manga Spawn, I would imagine that phrase was used to, to some degree, we associate technology, mecha, basically mechanized suits, robotic suits, with at least a genre of Japanese comics and animation. So we see Spawn, this is not Spawn's regular uniform. This is a alternate reality, alternate version of Spawn as we know him. He wears what would we say, a typical superhero uniform made of spandex. But Todd McFarlane, being who he is, as well as the way 90s action figure lines made variants of the main hero in all sorts of suits, as in Batman. Oh my goodness, if you want to talk about variant suits, Batman has to be the king. There's deep sea diver Batman, outer space Batman, medieval Batman, pirate Batman, and Todd was a product of his time. Even though he was an innovator and still is an innovator, I think that that this shows his 90s roots with his figures, and that's good. I think those were the golden. That's the golden age of action figures. I know they were around before the 90s. But I feel like the 90s is when the gimmicks sort of peaked, and just what was out there, the sheer volume and variety. So the purpose of this video, as I stutter and stammer, is simply to compare 3 versions of manga Spawn side by side. And please in the comments, let me know if there were more versions of manga Spawn, because knowing Todd McFarlane and knowing action figure lines that originated in the 90s, I sure imagine that there are. But I think these are 3 great examples. And the time was right for this video, because this figure came out, or at least I received it today. And so the time was right for this sort of comparison video. So this one is hard to film. He's in a deluxe box, and he is... Let's see what year this is here. This is $1998. So this one is from 1998. This manga Spawn is from, forgive me here, 1997. So he was, and this one here is, of course, from 2022, and he is available now on at most of your retailers, for $39.99, plus tax. He is a large, heavy figure. He is definitely heavier and larger than any of the manga Spawn that have preceded him. I believe Todd McFarlane gives a good value for his toys and his price. And I hope that he continues to keep prices reasonable, and his offerings are very unique, imaginative, and I think some of the best action figures on the shelves. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And stay tuned for more videos. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.